Okay, so let's dive right in to Instagram or not to Instagram. I do want to make one note about this webinar. Unlike the using Facebook pages webinar I did a couple months ago, this webinar isn't about how to use Instagram. It's not a step-by-step to setting up your Instagram account. What I get asked more about, as opposed to, how do I use Instagram or, how do I set up an account, is really, what is Instagram? I don't have an account, but I hear people talk about it. Sometimes it's my kids, sometimes it's my grandkids, my coworkers, and I don't really know much about it. And then their second question or their follow-up question is, should my club have an Instagram account? I know a lot of you and a lot of clubs in the district and in Rotary in general have really gotten on board with Facebook pages and social media in general. And Facebook is quite familiar at this point. It's pretty ubiquitous, but Instagram, not so much. So we still have a lot of people saying, I've heard of it, but I don't really know if that's something where I should be, on the boat and I should be involved, or whether it's sort of out of my league. So the point of tonight's webinar is really just to give you more information about what Instagram is, how it works, sort of who it caters to, and then let you make the decision. And if you feel that it's right for your club, great. You can certainly get on board and decide how you're going to do that within your club. And if you decide, well, maybe we should hold off a little bit, maybe we're not there yet, that's okay too. When you're going to get involved with social media, you want to do it because you're interested, not because someone's like, oh, you have to be on Instagram. You certainly want to be interested and involved. Otherwise, it makes for a pretty dull social media account in any other case. So let's dive right in. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about first defining what Instagram actually is, then talk about Instagram versus Facebook versus Twitter. Again, I get asked this a lot. What's the difference? What does each one do? What's the demographic? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about Instagram for business accounts, which is really Instagram's version of Facebook pages. We'll then talk briefly about Instagram stories and what the heck they are, and then some Instagram do's and don'ts if you decide to go through with it. Some next steps if you do want to make that dive into setting up an Instagram account for your club. And then, of course, time for questions, and then a quick shout about upcoming webinars and webinar recordings. Okay. All right, so what is Instagram? Well, in a very brief definition, Instagram is a social networking app made for sharing photos and videos from a smartphone. I bolded 3 words, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is that really encompasses Instagram and honestly how it's different from other social media networks specifically. It is focused on photos and videos. It's very, very visual. It's not meant to be text heavy. And it's not meant to be, a lot of links here and there. It really is meant to be looking at photos and looking at videos. And the other big part is that it's meant to be used via a smartphone. It is one of, I'm very much a computer-based person. I would prefer to do things for the most part on a computer as opposed to on my smartphone, just because, I'm a fast typer on a keyboard compared to on a smartphone. And for other reasons, I prefer, a bigger screen and whatnot. And yet, I still prefer to use Instagram on my phone because the browser version of Instagram is very limited because they really want you to use it from your smartphone. And to be honest, they don't even really want you using it from a tablet. They really do want it to be a smartphone because they want you to be, wherever you might be, whip out your phone, take a picture, take a quick video, and then boom, upload it to Instagram. So it very much is smartphone dependent and it's very visual. Again, feel free to ask any questions via the chat, or you can certainly unmute yourself and just ask the question vocally as well. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the three big ones, Facebook versus Instagram versus Twitter. I do get asked the odd question about LinkedIn and about Snapchat, but I didn't want to make this too big and too convoluted, so we're going to stick with the main 3. Excuse me. So Instagram, as I just mentioned, is very much mobile only, whereas Facebook and Twitter are very much mobile, tablet, and computer friendly. Going to get really a similar experience. And if you want to think of it this way, Instagram, when it was initially created, only existed as an app for your smartphone, whereas Facebook, it's considerably older. It started as a website that then they have made an app so that it works well on your smartphone. And Twitter's the same way. It started as a web-based application or a web-based website that then, they created apps for so you could do more with it on a phone or on a smartphone or a tablet. So if you think of it that way, it makes sense that Instagram is very mobile-centric because it was intended only for mobile to begin with. Okay, one small thing, I really should have this one at the bottom, but it's not. When we're talking about Instagram, we don't talk about friends like we do on Facebook. You don't have 500 friends on Instagram, you have 500 followers. And that's the same terminology that you use with Twitter. You know, if you use LinkedIn, they call them connections. You know, they're all trying to create their own sort of terminology or their own jargon. But with Facebook, you have friends. With Instagram, you have followers. On Instagram, it's common and somewhat expected even, you could say, to follow people you don't know because you're following accounts based on interests. So if I really like gardening and I really like farming, it doesn't matter that I don't know this person's farming blog or this person's gardening blog. I can go ahead and follow it and I can look at their photos and look at their videos. It's not so much about, oh, this is a friend of mine who has Instagram, I'm definitely going to follow them. On the other side of that, with Facebook, it's not common to friend people you don't know. You know, I would say in my generation, in the millennial generation, definitely the younger generation, and even a little bit in the older generation than me, you know, generally the rule is Instagram, you kind of follow whoever you want and you sort of accept whoever follows you, not a big deal. In Facebook, you don't follow people that you don't know, or sorry, you don't friend someone you don't know. So if someone sends me a friend request and I don't know them, and this is Facebook I'm talking about, so someone sends me a friend request, I don't know them. If they haven't also sent me a message with the invitation saying, you know, hi Kirk, I know we haven't met, but this person told me to connect with you or whatever it is, I'm probably not going to add them to Facebook. And that's just, again, that's a personal thing, but most or a lot of people in my generation would probably say the same thing. Whereas Instagram, you almost want, you know, you want to have a lot of followers, especially because if it's a public page, you want that. So you actually will be fine letting people follow you that you don't know. And on Twitter, same thing. It's common to follow people you don't know. That's how you get these big followings. That's how you get what they call social media influencers. These people that garner a large following because of the type of things they post, and people just like to follow it. Okay. With Instagram and Twitter, you generally use, I would say, lots of hashtags. Facebook, you don't see it as much. Now, our next webinar is about sharing, commenting, and hashtags, oh my. So if hashtags are a completely foreign thing to you, don't worry about that. We will talk about it on the next webinar. But know that, you know, hashtags are about connectivity. So being able to search for a term and find posts and profiles that are related to those terms. Facebook is relatively late to the game when it comes to hashtags. Instagram and Twitter have been using them kind of since the beginning. A quick note as well, you know, Facebook has been around since about 2003, I believe, maybe 2004. Twitter, I'm not totally sure of the year. Instagram was actually only developed in 2010. So it's considerably newer. Now, in 2012, Instagram was purchased by Facebook. So Facebook owns Instagram, so there's a lot of connectivity between the two of them, and you'll notice that as we talk a little bit more about it. So you'll see the connectivity, but you'll also see in some ways, if you've been following it for a long time or you've been a Facebook person for a while, you'll see some of Instagram infiltrating Facebook. Again, Facebook didn't have hashtags when it started, and now it does. And what do you know, they bought Instagram 7 years ago, and now hashtags are everywhere on Facebook. You start to see some of that kind of symbiosis working. And in terms of age demographic, you are looking at the youngest is definitely Instagram. Youngest, and by that I mean, you know, teens, tweens, young adults, very, very common to have an Instagram account. Twitter, kind of middle of the pack. You know, it's where they say a lot of my generation and the younger generation gets their news. So they're not going to cbc.ca, or they're not Googling, you know, what's in the news today or whatnot. They're not watching the 6 o'clock news. Excuse me. They are going to Twitter. And if you know or follow anything about Donald Trump and whatnot, and in general, you know, a lot of outlets are using Twitter as their very first way of communicating news. So you hear things, especially a lot about Donald Trump, because he's had a really big Twitter presence. You know, he's announcing stuff on Twitter almost before it's to the press. So if you want to be really up to date with stories, Twitter is the way to go. Instagram is not really news heavy in the same way, and Facebook is sort of in the middle. But that also means that in terms of the demographic, Facebook has the oldest demographic, and it's obviously very much a mix of the visuals with the photos and videos, but also the text that Twitter specializes in. So you've got Instagram that's very, very visual. You've got Twitter that's very much text-based. Yes, you can use send photos and whatnot and post photos with Twitter, but it's not as common. It is really meant to be text-based. And then you've got Facebook, which is a merger or a mixing of the two. Okay, any questions so far, or are we doing okay? I don't see any in the chat, but again, feel free to send them to me at any time. All right, So onto Instagram for Instagram for business accounts, because this is really what you're going to be using if you are going to get an account for your club. In the same way that with Facebook, a lot of clubs or a lot of people at the beginning would just make a Facebook profile for their club or their business, and then Facebook went, no, you need to create a Facebook page. That's sort of your public profile for your business organization. Same thing exists for Instagram. So you're not just going to create a new Instagram account, you're going to create an Instagram for business account. And that's going to act effectively as your Facebook page, so the public side of your business or organization. Now, with Facebook, there are a couple levels of privacy. With Instagram, excuse me, there are a couple levels of privacy. It's not as layered as Facebook. If you're familiar with some of the levels of privacy for Facebook, you have, when you post something, you can make it public, aka it goes to everyone on Facebook. It can be just to friends. It can be to select groups of friends. You can really specify the levels of privacy in almost anything you post. With Instagram, it's not like that. It's either private or public. So either you have a private account, for example, which is what I have. So that means that I have to approve anyone who follows me, okay? And until then, all they can see is my display picture and my name. And I believe they can see my description of my profile. So it could say that I'm a guy living in London, Ontario, but they can't see any of my posts until I approve them. That's relatively common, especially for a lot of people like teachers. Teachers are a great example of someone that really needs to be careful of their private life. They don't want it in the public sphere, so they would probably have a private account. The other option is that you have a public account. So that means that even before people follow you, they can already see all of your posts. They don't have to follow you, get accepted by you, and then see it. So you've got private and you've got public. Those are your two options. You don't have really an in-between. And really, when we're talking about, that's more with your personal Instagram account. For your Instagram for business account, it makes sense. You don't want to have a private account because you want to bring people in. You want people to be contacting you. So certainly you want to make it a public account. One of the benefits of, in addition to not creating an Instagram profile that's just a regular profile for your club, another benefit to using the business account version is you get what they call insights and a lot more data and analytics on the stuff that you post. So you have this thing, for example, features like this, where what were your top posts in the last 7 days and what are your followers looking like? When are they online? Okay, how many views did you get on a post, and specific insights into that. So how many impressions? What was the reach? What was the engagement? So you really get a lot of specific information that you don't get when it's just a personal Instagram profile. So a lot more information, which gives you a lot more power to make good decisions about your social media. Now, for a lot of you, you might say, well, oh my God, Kirk, I don't need all that information. I just want to start up an Instagram page for my club. I'm not going to be spending hours poring over the data. I'm not a statistician, and that's okay too. You don't have to necessarily do that. That's not to say that when you create an Instagram for business account, you're going to have to spend hours deciding. You can post as little or as much as you want, as often as you want. And you can be either the most analytical person or the least. But the reality is that if you ever want to dive into that information, if you have an Instagram for business account, the information's there. Whereas if you don't have an Instagram for business account and you want to switch to it, you can switch to it, but you're not going to get that data on all the things that you've already posted. So if you created a regular Instagram for business account, an Instagram account for your club, and a year later you decide, I want to make it a business account, but I also want the insights for what I've been posting for the past year. You're not going to get them, unfortunately. So that's why you want to have an Instagram for business account right away. Another benefit to having an Instagram for business account, as opposed to a private or a personal account rather, is this promote button. So what that means is if you post something about an upcoming fundraiser, and you're thinking about your budget and you go, we have a little bit of extra room in the budget, or maybe it's a little bit more desperate than that. You go, we need to sell some more tickets. We need to get the word out. You can actually take that post that until then is just a free post. You didn't pay to put anything on it because you don't have to pay for an Instagram for business account, but you can promote it. And basically that means you pay a little bit of money. You get to set what that budget looks like. It could be $3, it could be $50, it could be $500. And you get to set some demographic information. So the geographic area where it's going to be displayed, the age group of people it's going to be displayed to, the time of day you want it displayed, or you can leave some of that up to their algorithms to decide what the best option is for you. But the benefit is that you can then take any post and go from a normal, typical post to a promoted post. Okay, so if you have a membership drive and you have a post that you sent that was really popular and it actually worked out really well and you got a lot of likes and whatnot, and you think, for some reason, I don't quite know why, but people really liked that post, you can promote that post later to then get it back into the public sphere, get it back into people's news feeds if it was a particularly successful or popular post. So again, another benefit of having Instagram for Business, which you wouldn't get if you don't have the business account. I see a question here. How many Instagram accounts can you have? Are the accounts linked to an email address? So you can have, as far as I know, there's not a limit to the number of Instagram accounts you have. And actually, when you have a business account, you'll still have your personal account. That doesn't change. You just are given access to editing the business account. So it's very much like Facebook pages where you have your personal Facebook page, but you're also the administrator on a Facebook page. And you can be administrator on 3 Facebook pages or 300 Facebook pages. There's no limit to that as far as I'm aware. So you'll have your personal Instagram account. That's not affected, but then you're given access to editing or being an administrator on, in this case, it would be your club's Instagram account. So again, I don't think there's a limit. Are the accounts linked to an email address? Yes, I believe so. So if your club has an email account, then you would just use the club's email account to log into that second account. And I believe it's quite easy to switch back and forth between the two. Okay. So another thing I wanted to mention about an Instagram for Business account is that if you have an Instagram account already for your club and you're going, oh crap, now Kirk's going on and on about, Instagram for Business and I already made a regular account, I'm in trouble. You know what? Fear not, because they've got you covered. You're not the first person to do this, and therefore they caught on and they've got you covered. So what they've done is they've actually given you the ability to take a regular account. So Azure Collier, in this case, is a regular account, and you can actually switch it to a business profile. Now, again, you don't get all of the insights and whatnot for your previous posts, but any post moving forward, you get all of those insights we just discussed and the chance to promote posts and whatnot. So you just go under your settings and you click switch to business profile. Now, I did check into this just before tonight, about 15 minutes ago, and well, a little bit more, not 25 minutes ago, and the directions to do it have changed. So it's still within your settings, but it's a few more steps. So if you have finding yourself in that situation that you want to switch to Instagram for Business, let me know and I can show you those steps. So it's not quite these 2 steps, but it is there and it's quite easy to do. Excuse me. You'll also notice if you download the Instagram, if you decide you want to create an Instagram account for your club, you download, you download the Instagram app and you open it up. The very first thing it's going to want you to do is create an account. But because they're owned by Facebook and there's a lot of connectivity between Facebook, which is usually a good thing. I mean, I'm sure there can be downsides, but for the most part, it's good. It'll actually say continue as. So if you're already logged into Facebook on a phone, it'll give you the option to continue through your Facebook account. Which can be beneficial as well. So here it's saying connect your Instagram account to your Facebook page to connect with and learn about your followers. So if you've already got quite a good following of on your Facebook page, or even if you don't, but you just want your Rotary Club's Facebook page and your Rotary Club's Instagram accounts to be merged, or rather just connected, do that. That's a great thing to do, is use that shared functionality. Okay. Okay, quick thing on, I see a question here. Can more than one person submit to a business account? Yes, so more than one person can work on, can be linked to the business account. So in the same way that, you can have 3 to 4 or 4, however many editors or administrators you want on your Facebook Pages account, same thing works with Instagram. So you could have 3 or 4 people have access to your club's business account. That's totally fine. Okay, on to Instagram stories. So Instagram stories are kind of in a joking way. What I say is, society's ADHD solution. So, when you're in Instagram, you're scrolling through all the different videos and all the different photos, and those are permanent, right? Once you post them, they're there. Now you can certainly delete a post, but you have to go through and manually delete it. Instagram stories are a little bit different. You post photos or videos onto a story that then disappears after 24 hours. So the post, the video or the story is there for 24 hours. It can be viewed. After 24 hours, it disappears. Now, there are some options that have come about since Instagram stories was first introduced, where you can kind of stick stories to the timeline so it stays a little bit longer and whatnot. But the idea is that these ones aren't permanent, whereas your posts are permanent. They're not, as I said, they're not posted to a new user profile, and they're not on your newsfeed. So the newsfeed works just like Facebook. As you're scrolling away, you see everybody's posts. That's not how Instagram Stories works. Instagram Stories, if you already have an Instagram account and you've noticed this menu or bar at the top, those are Instagram Stories. So I would click on that story, and when there's a little circle around it, that means there's a new story. I click on it, and it will just pop up on my screen and show me the story. And unless I click the X in the top right corner, it's actually going to show me this story, then this story, then this story. And it's actually just going to keep going through, showing me all of the new stories for all of the followers that I have until I've gotten through them all. And depending on how many followers you have, that can be quite a few. One thing to keep in mind is that your Instagram stories follow the same privacy settings as a user's Instagram profile. So if you have your account set to private, no one can view your stories unless they are already your follower. Now, again, this isn't really a big deal, because if you're creating an Instagram account for your club, you're going to make it public because you want people to see. You don't want to be selective. But just keep that in mind, that if you do set it to private, people won't be able to see your stories in the same way that they can't see the rest of your account. Okay. Couple of quick do's and don'ts if you're going to get into Instagram. Tell your story, and that's not just an Instagram do, that's also a Facebook do. Rotary is becoming very much focused on storytelling, because that's the best way to communicate with people kind of right now, is tell your story. So don't just post a picture about, the pork roast that you did as a fundraiser. Tell the story. Why is it a pork roast? Has it been going on for 20 years and it was starting, tell that story. Take the time to say what it means to your members and what it means to your community to have this event. So yes, you want a photo or a video, but you also want to tell the story. Okay. Find that hashtag heaven or that hashtag high point. You want to use some, but not too many. So when you're using hashtags, and we'll talk about this more in the next webinar, but I don't want to scroll down and see 45 hashtags. That's not worth your time. But I do want to see 5, 6, maybe even 7 or 8 relevant hashtags. So you might do hashtag Rotary, hashtag D6330, hashtag Rotary International, hashtag pork roast, whatever it might be. But before you do that, depending on what the hashtag is, especially if you're going out on a limb and trying something you're unfamiliar with, research it first, because sometimes hashtags, due to their usage, have taken on a meaning that you might not predict. So if you are Googling what a hashtag is in Instagram, or rather what a certain hashtag meaning is, go into Instagram, use the search function and search hashtag whatever it might be, and just look at the results that already exist, because you might go, oh my gosh, I don't know how, but somehow that hashtag has been associated with this thing, and that's not what I want our post to be associated with. I'm not going to use that hashtag. So instead, you might think of a different hashtag. Again, we'll talk a lot more about hashtags in the next post or in the next webinar. So if you're really thrown off by what I'm talking about with hashtags, definitely join the next webinar, register for the next webinar. Okay, next one, don't write too much text. Instagram really is meant to be pretty visual and not text heavy. Excuse me. So do avoid, more than, I would say, a paragraph per post. Any more than a paragraph, and generally people probably aren't going to read too much. Do post regularly and frequently. You don't want to be that Instagram account that you go to all the trouble of creating it, getting it set up, and then you post once every month. You want to look at probably posting, I would say, once a week if you can. The odd time you might get into a bit of a slump or you get busy with life and it's every couple of weeks, but generally I would try to do a post a week. You can connect, as I mentioned, your Facebook account to Instagram. Do that. Definitely connect the two. And what that means is that when you post to Instagram, you can also then directly post to your Facebook account. So you take a great picture of a speaker at a meeting, or maybe a quick video of them saying something exciting at the meeting, and you go, oh, I'd like to post that both to my Instagram account and to my Facebook account. Well, if you do it through Instagram, you actually can directly post it to both. So it's not even you have to manually go into Facebook after and post. It's directly posted to both your Instagram for Business account and your Facebook page. So it saves you lots of time and trouble. Do be aware of the privacy settings. Again, we mentioned the public and the private part. And include calls to action in your post. A call to action is simply asking your followers or your readers to do something. So, hey, comment below with your favorite memory from the fundraiser, or, tell us your idea for our next fundraiser, or tell us what you love about Rotary, or, share this post if you think it's important to focus on polio eradication, whatever it might be. Lots of different things you could do, but really try to engage your audience, not just kind of look for the likes or look for people to read it, but ask them a question, engage them. If you were to join Rotary, what would be one question you'd have? Lots of different things you could do, but definitely try to think about calls to action as opposed to just posts that are very one-sided, kind of, here, I'm sharing information with you. try to get your audience to speak back to you. That helps tell that story, that helps create that conversation. So what are your next steps? Well, basically decide whether or not an Instagram account is right for your club. It's okay to test it out, and then after a couple months say, oh, this isn't for us, or oh my God, we had so much more fun doing this than we expected. Let's stick with it. It's okay. It's not probably going to be the best Instagram account to exist right off the get-go. You're going to learn as you do it, and that's great. That's a perfect, great learning experience. I would ensure 2 to 3 members at least can post to it. Again, many hands make light work, as I mentioned before, but also different ideas, right? So someone might have a really great post idea that you didn't have, or you might be a busy person and only have time to post once every couple of weeks, but you'd like access to post because you think, well, I do want to do that now and then. But if you have 2 to 3 or 4 members in your club that are able to post to it, that's great. That just means that many more people that will make sure that there's constant posts going to it so that it stays fresh and it stays constant and regular. So that's great. Discuss an overall theme and decide on a few dedicated hashtags. This one isn't so important. Don't worry that, oh, well, we have to stick to the theme of X, Y, and Z. And if it's not going to be one of those 3 things, then we might as well not post about it. It's not so much that. It's just kind of, what do we want to get out of this? Are we trying to get new members? Are we really trying to push our events? Are we trying to push this? So that the posts don't seem conflicting, I guess is what I would say. So try to discuss a theme. What are we trying to get out of having this Instagram account? And then decide on a few dedicated hashtags that can help you. So you might say, we're the Rotary Club of London South. So you might say RCLS, Rotary Club of London South. And you say, for every post, whether it's about polio eradication, whether it's about a project, a fundraiser, a membership drive, whatever our post is about, if our club makes a post, we will make sure that we use the hashtag RSLC. And that can be a great way to start building a hashtag presence so that if someone were to click that hashtag, instead of the one picture that you used for that hashtag, there might be 30, 40, 50, or 60 throughout the course of your account. So a dedicated hashtag can be useful. That's a really great time to use things like hashtag people of action, okay? That's a really great dedicated hashtag because then as people start to use it more around the world, your post will get pulled into that. So when someone searches hashtag and goes, what is this hashtag people of action? I'm going to click on it. Not only your post, but all people of action posts are going to be included on that. Now, why I said to be careful is because, if someone previously a couple of years ago, if hashtag people of action was maybe an X-rated site and they were using hashtag people of action, well, gosh, we probably don't want to be associated with that. So then we would have to be careful to make sure we're not using hashtag people of action and people going, oh my gosh, I Googled that and I got way more than I bargained for. So it's always good to double check at that hashtag before you use it. And the last thing is, honestly, people, have fun. I get so many people stressing about social media, and the one thing, the main piece of advice when it comes to social media is have fun with it. You're not going to break it. You're generally not going to bring down your club's reputation if you have a post that's, oh, I messed this up, or I misspelled that, or I posted a blurry photo. You'll get better. And as you practice, you'll get better. You'll feel more confident and you'll learn more about it. You really do learn by doing when it comes to a lot of this social media stuff. So have fun with it and get your club involved and show them what you're doing with it to get them excited about it and get them involved and show the impact that it's having. Okay? All right, I'm at 7:31. This is, I think, the fastest I've ever been done. I generally try to keep it to 45 minutes, so we're doing all right. So we do have a minute or two for questions if there are any. Feel free to type them or feel free to unmute yourself and let me know if you have any questions or comments. If you've already been using Instagram for your club and you'd like to share how it's been going, feel free to let me know.
Hi, Kirk, it's Pat. We opened an Instagram account 1 week ago, just before Maple Magic, and we had 1,800 people see our Maple Magic info. And because we could look at the demographics, 71% were age 34 and under.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So a completely different group that we hit than on Facebook.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That's perfect. That's such a great success story. And in 1 week, 1,800 people are already seeing your posts. That's wonderful. Good job. Yeah, perfect. And it's success stories like that keep you motivated to want to keep posting and go, okay, well, this is worth it. And certainly you'll have some posts that, they're not going to, oh, we have this great speaker at our club, and you post it and you kind of, oh, okay, didn't get that much of a response, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some. And the best part is when you do it for a couple of months, then, sit back with your PR committee and Pat, go through the demographics and the insights from the past 3 months ago. Which type of posts were the most popular? So which one should we be focusing on moving forward, right?
Right. And
Perfect.
I mean, it cost us virtually nothing. We did a contest. We gave away a $25 gift certificate towards pancake meal.
Awesome. That's great. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I'll move along. Okay, on to upcoming webinars. So the next one, as I've mentioned a couple of times, is about a month from now, just a little bit less, and it's all about hashtags, sharing, and commenting. Now, it'll be a little bit more than just those 3 specific things, but those are, I'm gonna kind of talk about the jargon with Facebook and Instagram and sort of what it all means and how it all works. Am I gonna cover everything? Unfortunately not, but hopefully you will feel much more confident with this terminology and these ideas after that webinar. So you can register for that on the public image page of the district website. And the last one of this Rotary year is going to be on May 22nd, and that's all about using images and videos from the Rotary Foundation and Rotary International. They have a wealth of images and videos for us to use, and most of us don't know how much there is. It's kind of an untapped potential, and we're always looking for high quality images and videos. And because we are Rotary clubs, we can use their material, and we're not, worrying about royalties. We don't have to worry about copyright infringement. They're for us to use. So it's a great resource for some really high quality images and videos. So that's what that webinar is going to be all about. Again, you can register for either of those on the public image page of the District 6330 website, pardon me. And you can also watch recordings of past webinars. All right, folks, that's all from me for tonight. And my voice is like just starting to go, so great timing. Thank you very much for your participation and for your attendance. I appreciate it. I wish you a wonderful night. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Kirk. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Take care, Pat.